Welcome to Paddling Adventures Radio. I'm Sean Rowley, and with me is Derek Spesh.
Hello.
Happy first show of our 9th year.
Yes, it is. It's the start of the 9th year.
9th year already.
Awesome.
Woohoo! We got snow.
You did? Yeah, we all did. I got snow too.
Yeah.
How was your weekend? You went camping, right?
We went winter camping up in Mule Lake in Algonquin Park. I put the tape measure in the snow on top of the picnic table. 10 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. Family Day weekend here in Ontario. Pretty good. Is it only Ontario has Family Day weekend? It's not a Canadian. Canadian.
No. And it's not even a federal holiday.
Oh.
As I learned this weekend, because in Ontario, it's a vacation day in February, but not if you're a federal worker.
Really?
Yeah. So,
sticking to the man.
I was talking to one of the local guys, and he was saying that, most people work in the federal government in Ottawa, and they have to take a day of vacation to do stuff with their families because it's not a holiday for federal workers.
Oh, sucks to be them then.
I know, right?
Oh, well. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we were up in Algonquin, and just Tracy, me, and Athena, the wonder dog here, who I think is wanting out of the room now.
Oh, shut up.
I gave her all the options to leave, and now she's just over by the door.
She's pacing.
She's sniffing something. And now she's scratching. It was nice to see a lot of the people that we didn't get to see very often up there. Last year it seemed that a whole lot of people said, we're going to try something else, going to try something else. And then this year they all seemed to be back.
Was it full? How full was the campground?
There was only a couple empty spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty full. That's
ice
for
rink?
Sure.
Was the ice rink?
The ice rink was up and going no problems. People were playing.
I was
tons
sure
of kids.
Stuff wasn't going to happen up there. I didn't think there would be enough snow. I didn't think it was going to be cold enough.
It was just opened. I think it was ready Friday.
Oh yeah,
Friday it was finally, because at New Year's it was like blocked off. You couldn't get on the ice. But there was a couple kids. There wasn't as many people playing hockey as there usually is.
Oh, okay.
It was all skaters.
Mm-hmm.
So so there was that. There was the warming tent, and there was the warming fire to sit around. So we all sat there and chit-chatted.
That's good. How was the wood?
Well, we always go into Whitney and get ours.
Okay, you got the dry stuff.
Yeah, we don't. Apparently New Year's and that people were saying it wasn't too bad, the park wood.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are also saying that's because it's been sitting a lot longer because of all the fire bans this year. So no one was using
leftover wood from the summer.
So it got to sit that little while longer, and that was about it. So, but no, we had our fires, and it was nice and warm inside the tent.
Had the big top tent up?
Yeah, we had
big circus tent.
Yeah, that's the one. Actually, it's funny because when we took it down yesterday, it almost looked like a giant oval shape left over on the ground.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, that's about right. We got a sort of an oval tent, Like I say, got a lot of snow. There was someone we got up there was trying to snow on and off, but there was a whole bunch in the trees already.
Oh, okay.
You get the snow bombs.
Oh, yeah.
So listen to the wind coming, then also boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
big chunks of, powdery snow coming out of the tree and hitting the tent and whatnot. Athena loving the snow. She walks along and just all of a sudden drags her face through the snow. What's wrong with you?
She's a dog.
Yeah, she's a husky dog. And she loved playing other dogs that were there. There was a bunch of us went for a walk in the snow, big fluffy snowflakes. Mm-hmm. So we went and did all that sort of thing. There was no open water. I'd contemplated bringing the canoe just in case. Now, when we were driving home, there was a few spots, like the Gull River and whatnot. There were spots that we crossed it, and there was open water.
Huh.
So you could probably paddle for a couple of kilometers.
You're running out of time to get your February paddling.
I know, and I'm busy this weekend coming with the Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yeah.
And the weekend after that is the Quiet Adventure Symposium in Michigan.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm. So
the Wabbits.
I'm going to have to do an after-work thing pretty quick. Yeah. Well, even if I get out there for an hour or so, then at least I've been on the water for February. So, yeah, the rabbits, we got to look forward to that.
I wonder, to get rabbits across the border, could you bring a live rabbit back, or would you have to bring it back as meat?
I think you'd probably have better luck bringing it back alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you're importing food goods.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, as opposed to livestock.
So you slaughter it when you get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just let them run across the border, and then you didn't bring them at all, and then you just recatch them.
I bet my cat would love to have a rabbit in the house.
No.
They'd have fun.
No, the rabbit would harass them. We didn't actually see any animals when we were up there, speaking of rabbits. No deer.
The forest?
We saw birds, like some, ravens and blue jays and
maybe
stuff
the
like
snow
that,
kept them away.
Maybe. Drawback to snow. A lot of snow when it comes to winter camping in the tents.
Collects on the roof?
It doesn't really. It melts.
Oh, then you got ice.
And then you got all these, because the roof is sloped on the tent, right? So all the water then drips down and forms icicles, which isn't a problem. It's really pretty until you go to pack that tent, and then you're packing 15 pounds of ice. Not impressive.
Gosh darn it.
Right?
I suppose you could just put a big tarp over top of the tent.
I'm not sure how to do that with this tent, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it would really fit properly because of where the stove jack is and everything, and stovepipe.
Yeah, so you'd have one part of the tent would still be icy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that wouldn't matter if it was just one part.
Yeah.
But it's the whole thing.
So it's hanging in the garage now, trying to dry out?
It is. It is hanging. We just did that. We just took it directly from the truck right into the garage and hung it up. Because, all that ice sitting there forever, and then if it does melt, it's turning into water.
Exactly.
And sitting there, and it's just like, no.
It'll sublimate. It'll go right from ice to gas, and it'll be dry by spring.
Yeah, but it'll be all evaporated and stained and all that sort of stuff. So
not necessarily.
And the dog has been rescued. Thank you, Ariana. I asked if she wanted to go out of this room. She did not want to go out. Anyway, so it's hanging in the garage there. All our other stuff that was wet is all hanging up, the tarps and all that. And But no, it was a good time up there. It's a nice, relaxed time. No getting up at 5 a.m. to go to work and all that. Did a couple of tours around the area, and like I say, when we go up there winter camping, it's just chit-chatting with people, doing some walks and, some easy hikes and stuff. Nothing too strenuous. And good time. And you did not go camping.
I didn't.
Well, you went 5-star camping.
I did.
Not necessarily 5-star, but we call it 5-star camping.
I still wish we could have gone. Well, we could have gone. I didn't think there was going to be much to do or see because there was no snow. But then it snowed, so we would have had it made. So, oh well. What are you going to do, right? So instead, we went to Ottawa, stayed downtown, and we were like 2 blocks away from Parliament Hill, and
cool.
It was nice. It was nice to spend the weekend there. We we found out on Friday. I was at work. I was at work on Friday, and some of the guy goes, "Hey, you might want to check this. I heard something." And it's like, oh no. So we went to Ottawa and hung out on Parliament Hill and doing all that stuff. But guess who was back for a limited time engagement?
Trudeau?
No, I'm sure he might have been there. No, the protesters were back.
Oh, were they?
So we got to mingle with them for a bit.
Excellent.
And they had
part of history.
Yeah, they had a lot of the streets were blocked and shut down, and a lot of the heavy police presence. We weren't able to walk around Parliament like we wanted to because they had closed off areas, and we tried to get down to East Block, but we weren't allowed there. The cops chased us off, and so it's like, hey, I'm not a protester. I'm just here with my 2 kids, and it doesn't matter. Nobody's allowed. Okay, I get it.
Well, you'll have to go back.
Yeah,
I don't think Ottawa is going anywhere.
No, we want to go back in the summer, but it was nice. It was a nice weekend. We got to, my feet.
You didn't get on the canal though.
So
for beaver tails and poutine, and
we didn't because we ended up. We could have gone Saturday, and we were actually down near the closed end of the canal on Sunday morning. But the portion, they did open a portion of it on Sunday, and they're hoping to keep it open, but they're already saying, oh, we might have to close again, because they opened it for 2 or 3 days in January, and then they closed it because of thin ice and choppy ice, and then they opened it on Sunday, on the weekend. And I don't know if they closed it or not yet, but I did see pictures and video. Everybody was excited. It was on like CBC, CTV, you name it. Oh, the canal's open. The canal's open. It's like, yeah, well. So and Sunday I was visiting with my sister, so we didn't go skating on the canal. Instead, we went to visit my sister, which was even better. But it was nice. We got to see a bunch of stuff that, like, I've never been to. So we went to the National Arts Center. They had stuff for kids there all weekend, right? So there was all kinds of music, and one of the things that was neat is plants. They had these plants wired to a Raspberry Pi things, and to an amp, and to a speaker. And so if you touch, they put a ground wire into the plant, and so you touch the plant and it would make noise. You were closing the connection with the plant, right? Yeah. So whatever, it was neat. So they had different music or tones. So the kids were having a blast touching the plant leaves and making it make different noises like musical instruments. It was
screaming.
Really neat. Yeah, some of them were screaming. Some of them were screaming. So
don't touch me.
So that was neat. And then we went to the National Gallery. On the way in, I talked to Ariana about it. We saw so much art. Yeah. We only did a small portion, maybe like an eighth or a tenth of the gallery. It's too much to see in one go.
So that's why you go to the AGO here.
Did you see? There was on Family Day, the ROM was free. Did you see the lineup to the ROM?
No,
it was like 5 blocks long.
I could imagine.
I saw a video of it.
It's not that expensive to get in, though.
No, I know. Like, why would you want to wait outdoors in the cold for like 2 hours to get into the ROM? But it's free. It's like, I'd rather pay and not have a lineup.
Yeah, we have memberships, yearly memberships.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense because of Ariana.
Yeah.
So, and then we also went to the Aviation and Space Museum.
That's cool.
That was cool. Yeah. We while we were there, we heard an announcement. They said, anybody interested in a guided tour of the reserve hangar? It's like, oh, well, that sounds interesting. What's that? So we did it. We went in, and it was amazing. So it was a guided tour of the off-display items. So aircraft and whatever that won't fit in the main museum.
Right.
So it's just a lot of the stuff is being fixed. There's some of the stuff they just got
restored and whatnot.
Restored, and so there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of really interesting stuff, and it was a guided tour. So this woman she knew her stuff, and so she went through and talked about everything in there. It was amazing. So it's something that you can't just go in. It has to be a guided tour because they don't just let you wander through, because you're right next to all the aircraft, right? So she walked us through and talked about all the different aircraft, and it was amazing. Cool. There's some really neat one-off planes and one-of-one planes, and it was really, really neat. It was a fascinating. And then separate people, were doing plane tours, so we all went up and circled Parliament Hill, and I got some nice video of.
Oh, so you went up in a plane?
I went up in a little plane, a little Cessna.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a tiny Cessna, and as we climbed out of the museum landing strip, we came out over the Ottawa River, and we had to be headed into the wind. I'm looking down, it's like, we're not gaining any ground, because at first he was just climbing and climbing in one spot, climbing and climbing, and then when he leveled out, I could feel it start to move forward. It's like, oh, that water down there looked really cold. It's like, if you ditch, please ditch in the trees.
So basically, you're saying you were half a flight away from me needing to get a new co-host.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. I'm too busy for that right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for making it back.
Yeah. When we paid for the thing before, while we were waiting, I said, "Oh, now we get to be a statistic." And she's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, family 4 dies in aircraft accident on Parliament Hill."
If we're going to crash, can you just make sure you hit the hill?
Yes, please hit something hard.
Yeah. Do some damage while you're going. If you're going, go big.
Yeah. But it was neat. It was a good weekend. Did so much walking. Like it's just the National Gallery and stuff. Like I was on my feet all day. And
kids like it?
Yes, they thought it was awesome. Every part of it. It was a very fun, interesting weekend.
Good.
Yeah.
And now we're back.
Yes. Yeah.
Woo!
So yeah, it was nice. I want to go back in the summer for a week or so and
there's so much to do in the summer.
Oh, I know. And so they were doing tours because there was areas of, like, you can see the Senate because a lot of the places are moved because of the Center Block is being renovated.
And see, I've been around the Parliament building. I don't think I've ever actually been in.
I remember being inside just the entryway of Center Block a couple years ago, but we didn't do a tour. We just walked up, walked in, didn't go past security, just looked around and left.
I think the last time I was really up close, like so I could touch the Parliament buildings close.
Yeah.
Do you remember that somebody hijacked that bus and drove it up on Parliament Hill?
No.
That was like in the early 2000s, late 90s, I guess.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's been that long. That's how much of an urge I want to go to the Parliament. Oh, look, there's a Parliament building. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, next.
There's lots of tours I'd like to go on. I'd like to see, the inside, and and as painful as it might be because it's like adults acting like toddlers. I'd like to sit in for maybe an hour of a session of
question period or something.
Yeah, or something, right? Because I've seen it on CPAC, and it's like I should see it in person at least once.
Nah.
As irritating as it would be.
No.
Because they do act like toddlers, really.
Oh, you know what? I would get mad and yell, and I'd get kicked out. It's like, because all they do is try to belittle each other, and I really don't know how anything gets done.
I know. I have no
because
idea.
It seems the only purpose is to make the other side's job hard.
Exactly.
And all they want to do is argue. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who's in power.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? The other ones are going to just take that side of it. Nope, we don't want you to do this. Or blah, blah. We're going to do everything. One day, somebody's going to go, we agree with you, and no one's going to know what to do.
What do we do now?
We're shutting down because the other side agreed with us. We don't know.
Unprecedented.
Somebody get a book and look this up. Has this ever happened? What'd they do? Oh, man. Well, glad you had a good time. I want to go back there and do some paddling in the canal.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That would be neat. I would like to do that. Maybe we could plan for that in the summer or something.
Right. I've been on the Ottawa River and lower, but not downtownish in the canal area.
Yeah. I've been on the canal in the winter, but never in summer. I've only been on when there's ice on.
Yeah.
Not this weekend, but yeah, we should do that.
Yeah. I think we should. I am still dealing with a sore back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's been over a week and almost 2 weeks now.
And that was chasing the dog or something? Walking the dog,
yeah.
Walking the dog.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the yo-yo thing, walking the dog. You're just actually walking
the dog.
You're out walking.
Yeah. We were talking about that on the weekend about how getting old and
slip a disc.
You just twit. And there was like 4 of us talking. 4 guys talking. Oh, yeah, I did that. And I hurt my back. And I did that and hurt my shoulder. Oh, my knee. And I'm like, dudes, right now, I'm one good fart away from total paralysis.
I hurt my back while I was sleeping.
Yeah. I sneezed and keeled over. Anyway, on to things here, because we do actually have a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
Elmira, New York. During the winter, frigid temperatures make rivers dangerous, which we've always talked about. There's different things that you need to do if you're going to be paddling in the winter. Even experienced paddlers, it can be a challenge for them. Following the recent death of a kayaker on Sealy Creek in Chemung County, local paddling agencies are advising people to stay off the river in the winter.
So they're advising. They're not blocking it. I guess people still should have the freedom to do. People should have the freedom to choose to die the way they want.
The way they want. In a release sent out by the Chemung River Friends, the group advises paddlers that the water this time of year between 30 and 40 Fahrenheit, which is -1 to 5 degrees Celsius, can cause hypothermia and a risk of cold water shock, even to these well experienced with paddling.
Yeah.
Emergency crews that have to conduct rescue missions, if something goes wrong on the water, end up having to fight more than just cold temperatures, but have to go through the struggle of finding the person at risk.
And that kind of brings back to what we talked about last week about the guy doing the waterfall. It's like, if you're going to go do something that's risky, or even not risky, just out, I guess it's risky because it's cold.
Because of the cold water, yeah.
Then, people have to go and risk themselves, their own safety, to go rescue you, right?
Go out there and paddle. Just do it safely. Do it smartly.
Yeah.
Protective gear. They said a representative from the River Rescue Task Force has spoken about this issue, and the representative said that where someone goes in the water where they plan on going out and what time are some of the most important things someone can give to a person outside the paddle group. So basically, just if you're going out, tell someone where you're going.
Yeah.
When you're going, when you're going to be back, where you're launching from, where you're landing, all that sort of, which is a summer thing as well. The release advises that if you're someone who isn't experienced in paddling, you should not be on the river in winter at all.
I can agree with that.
Yep. The message adds that it doesn't only put the inexperienced paddler's life at risk, but the emergency crew's lives at risk when they have to go in and rescue someone out of the river. So they do note that keeping and wearing an updated life jacket is a must when out on the water. Group says that the vest should be worn on the person at all times, should be fit snugly with the ability to close all buckles and clips. Life jackets do not last forever, with the foam inside degrading over time the more it's used. And I'm about ready for a new life jacket.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple more years in mine.
Final safety tip that they add is that if the water temperature and the air temperature combined are not more than 120 degrees Fahrenheit or 49 Celsius, then it's too cold to paddle. So little notes I've added here. Never paddle alone in winter. Now, the fellow that passed away, he was with 2 other people. They got out. He overturned in a kayak. Yeah. Hypothermia. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. And always wear a dry suit. I got a feeling, because it didn't mention anything in there, and if he's got hypothermia that fast, he wasn't wearing a dry suit. So if you're going out paddling, like you say, be safe about it. This time of year, wear your life jacket, go with people, leave all your information, wear a dry suit. Yep. Be safe about it.
Yeah, a dry suits would it be a good investment? I don't paddle in the shoulder seasons or in winter because I don't have a dry suit, so I just don't go. I'm thinking more and more of getting one. A lot of money. It's a lot of money, so it's just easier not to go.
Yeah.
So. And life jacket, like, especially if you don't have a dry suit and you do go in the shoulder season, like not winter, like you got to have a dry suit in winter. But in shoulder season, if the water is really cold, the shock of falling in the water may prevent you from properly being able to swim. You might, your muscles will spasm, and so you may be at risk of drowning because your body is not going to react like you normally would, and you may be an expert swimmer, but you may not be able to swim because of the initial cold water shock.
Yeah. So be smart. If you're not prepared, don't go. A little farther south, North Carolina, the French Broad River flows out of North Carolina into Tennessee, where it joins the Holston River in Knoxville, becomes the Tennessee River. It's 218 miles or 350 kilometers in length. And the French Broad Paddle Trail It began in 2012 with little more than a few small grants, countless volunteer hours, and an abundance of stoke for paddling and camping along the French Broad River. Same year, Riverlink partnered with Mountain True, then called Western North Carolina Alliance, to create riverside campsites, mapping resources, and a website to house basic information about the trail and serve as a platform for making reservations, which is how things usually start. You start small, and then eventually, hopefully, you can expand. 10 years, or more than 10 years later, the paddle trail has grown to encompass more than just the resources these nonprofits has produced to create a network of local organizations, government agencies, area businesses, and individual volunteers passionate about public access, riverside camping, outdoor events, and stewardship. Beginning in 2024, Mountain True launched a new FrenchBroadPaddle.com site as a revised online destination that is an improvement over the old one in terms of aesthetics, content, and functionality, with helpful changes made to design, content, campsite bookings, connections to other resources, including, and they if you get the chance, go on to FrenchBroadPaddle.com. So some of these changes that they made and the things that you can see that are on this new website: English, Spanish translation. The entire website can be translated between English and Spanish via the toggle switch at the bottom left corner on all pages. Homepage. The homepage has been refreshed with basic information about the paddle trail and includes a section announcing news and events. Web map and obstructions. I like this one.
Obstructions?
There is an updated and simplified map to show access points, campsites, outfitters, mile markers, along with obstructions, such as river-wide woody debris, including timestamps and photos, construction projects, and dams. Holy jumpins.
They're very organized, aren't they?
Right? I mean, you can go on to this page, click on the map, and you can see, well, I was going to paddle from here to here, but they're renovating a dam or whatever. Or there's a big...
There's a tree fall or whatever. It's
a whole bunch of logs blocking the way, so maybe I better check a different spot. Suggested trips. The suggested trips page has been updated and expanded with fresh content, newer images, greater detail to offer recommendations for multi-day trips in all counties. So if you want to go out for a few days and you're not sure where to go because you're visiting the area,
and fully plan it on the website.
You can go out and check out, okay, here's where you should go. You can park here, you can, launch here and take out here and whatnot. Outfitters and retailers. The Outfitters and Retailers page has been updated to include all current paddling-related outfitters along the French Broad, organized by county, with links to each business's website. So with an outfitter, usually most websites, they offer some sort of pick up or drop off, that sort of thing to help you out, right? So if you start upstream and then you plan to finish there, then you can go there. Maybe they'll drop you off upstream and then you just paddle back a few days later to that outfitter and pick up your car. Right? Flows and gauges.
Oh, this is handy.
And see, this is one thing that I've never really cared about.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time, but the flow and the gauge page has been updated to include all United States Geological Services gauges along the French Broad River. I'm either paddling it or I'm walking it.
Yeah.
I don't look before I go.
When we do our Burt Reynolds Memorial River runs, we go through all of the flows and just to determine, and we know what a minimum flow is that we wouldn't be able to go, or if it's too high a flow, yada yada yada. So, and we've done that for like Spanish River and the Des Moines River and the Noir River and stuff like that. So they're all the way along in Ontario and Quebec. You can get all these flows, right?
Speaking of the Burt Reynolds Memorial River Run. When we were up camping, Mike Burns and Scott Rogers were back in winter camping in the backcountry, and they made a day trip out just to come and see us.
That was cool. Yeah. Very nice.
Riverside camping. One centralized page outlines and links to all paddle trail campsites in one place, organized by county from upstream to downstream. So if you know you're going for a few days, where should I camp? Well, you can go to here and check out all the camping spots.
This would be a great website for anybody who happens to have the nickname Dossier.
Right? I like these people. There are also new site-specific pages for all the Mountain True managed campsites, which include an easier booking experience, updated photos, lengthier descriptions, and an overview of administrative policies. Dispersed campsites are also included in the full listing of riverside camping opportunities.
Did you happen to notice how many campsites that they do have?
No, I never counted them all.
But it looks like, by the sounds of it, well, it's 350 kilometer in length, so it's got to be a lot of opportunity. Campsites. Yeah. That's amazing that they've and what's neat too, and what's obviously happens to work out for river style camp location like this is you get a lot of people that get together and pool resources and so they've created these maps and these links, and you get all these what do you call them, different business partners and so on that work together to make it a more wholesome experience. So that's pretty cool that they've done so much.
Yeah. They have a partners and supporters page, but still in the work in progress.
Yeah.
But it'll soon list and link to all nonprofit and agency partners, along with businesses and funding sources that support paddle trail endeavors. I mean, when you're talking about if there's campgrounds, if there's outfitters and all, it only benefits them to help out with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, the paddlers are going to come to you, so... get your name on that page sort of thing and help out with it. And,
need to rent a canoe, need to rent a life jacket, get a campsite, need some food, yada, yada, yada.
So now is the time to go check out the website, FrenchBroadPaddle.com. Check it out. Use it to make your paddling plans for this coming summer. Maybe book a campsite next to the river and have a memorable trip with family, friends, or by yourself.
So this is North Carolina, where the French Broad River flows from North Carolina into Tennessee.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So it's, basically from the bottom up. And
Very neat.
Still hanging out that end of the United States. We're going to go to Georgia again.
Okay.
Again. Georgia's having some issues, I'm thinking. In Georgia... a House panel approved a bill intended to clarify when landowners can restrict access to streams. That in itself is a bit of a what?
Yeah, I know, right? And when it comes to these restrictions, think about the previous thing we just talked about with partners and supporters and organizations. Like that business model is going to dry up if you block access and control to a river system, and you're not going to get tourist dollars in. Businesses are going to go away, and
lawmakers rushed to respond late in last year's legislative session when a landowner along the Flint River successfully argued in court that he has control over who can cast a line in a popular fishing spot. Now, it didn't say whether it was from land or from the water.
And he won.
So right off the bat, everybody's like, what?
Yeah, I can't even fish.
The late session measure prompted an outcry from some landowners and representatives of the state's agriculture industry who worried the new law designed to enshrine the public's right to fishing would make operations that withdrew water from rivers vulnerable to lawsuits. So you know how sometimes the agricultural will divert water to their fields or to the cows and that sort of stuff? Well, does that mean now there's going to be lawsuits because they're taking the water?
Oh.
Right? So anyway, everybody's starting to all of a sudden think 15 steps ahead and overthinking things. Yeah. Now, after spending last fall studying the quandary, lawmakers are back. Because we talked about in Georgia whether they're going to make navigable and non-navigable. No, I can't even say that word tonight.
Navigable.
That's the word. navigable,
navigable and non-navigable
waterways, yeah. Whether they're going to make them that or not, because then, which ones are, which ones aren't,
Yes.
and how come that one's not navigable? Because
Just say nav and non-nav.
yeah. So, because, we do, whitewater creeking sort of thing,
exactly, yeah.
but you don't have it as navigable.
Yes. So, and that's like when you're doing creek boating and stuff like that, you're not touching the shore. Mm-hmm. You're just like a lot of the trips that.
And they're in a lot of those places are people aren't boating there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they've spent all last fall studying all this, and now they're considering a potential follow-up bill meant to allay those concerns. Industry groups say they support the new measure, but is the proposed fix creating new problems? Paddling enthusiasts showed up to a committee meeting recently to argue the new bill will limit the public's access to Georgia waterways that are deemed non-navigable.
Ooh.
And I can say that because I'm reading it.
Wonky gold star.
Yeah. Significantly curtailing the streams where paddlers can venture down. Should private property owners on all of these streams have the power to override public freedoms and all the economic benefits that flow from them, says Suzanne Welander, who is the author of a guidebook, Canoeing and Kayaking Georgia.
You won't need that guidebook anymore.
Yeah, take out page 8, page 15, page 16, page 20 to 27. I just ask you to protect Georgia's freedom to float by ensuring that any stream, navigable and non-navigable,
Yay.
if it's capable of floating, a boat remains open and accessible to the public. Opponents argue that by giving navigable streams the green light for paddling, lawmakers are also implying that non-navigable waterways are off limits.
Yes.
So it's like they're sort of using a double negative, in my opinion. Well, because you're saying that's navigable, that means that one isn't?
Yes.
Well, no, we didn't say that. Well, by not saying that one is, you did say it isn't.
Without specifying.
Yeah. They say that could have far-reaching implications, limiting access to places like the Yellow River, the Middle Oconee River, and such. If we declare navigable streams to be open, haven't we, by negative implication, say non-navigable streams are not?
Precisely.
And that is our big concern in the paddling community about this bill, said Dan McIntyre, who is a paddler and attorney. So, some lawmakers were unconvinced that paddling access would be newly limited by the proposal. The bill's sponsor, James Burchett, I think he's Republican, said someone would still be able to float down a non-navigable stream. They would just need the property owner's approval.
Oh.
Now you can see why he's not a paddler. Mm-hmm. There was never an expansion of the right to go into a non-navigable waterway, he said. That doesn't mean you can't go. Many people float, fish, and hunt on navigable streams because the property owner gives permission or does not want to exclude you from doing it. Paddlers, though, argue this is not practical. So if you're on a stream and you're planning on paddling for 100 kilometers, and there's 60 houses, you've got to go to all 60 houses.
Do you have to ask them?
And ask for permission. That's basically what he's saying.
If there's no signage, you'd have to go, I see somebody's
got to get
back.
permission.
Wow.
From 60 houses.
The problem is you'd have to prearrange it because you're not going to be able to hop out of the stream onto their property and knock on their door because you're trespassing then.
Right? For non-navigability, we do believe it'd be impossible for us on all the rivers that we traditionally paddle to contact every property owner and ask for permission, says Carol Reeser Proctor, who is the past president of the Georgia Canoeing Association, which also represents kayakers and stand-up paddleboarders. After nearly 2 hours of debate last Thursday, the bill made it out of the House Judiciary Committee, but only after the chairman cast a tie-breaking vote. Burchett argues the thorny issue needs to be resolved to avoid conflicts that can easily escalate where firearms are involved. Because some of the boaters and some of the people on the river and that are wanting to use the property are hunters.
Oh, yes.
Whether on the part of the outdoorsman or the property owner, or likely both. He cited a 2020 situation where a property owner along the Flint River fired a gun at a family on a canoe ride who he considered trespassers. The man was found guilty on 4 counts of aggravated assault, sentenced to 10 years in prison.
Wow.
Right?
Huh.
When you start conflating two different issues, navigable, non-navigable, and where your property rights extend, people get very passionate about that. And that's where we're seeking to clarify here. Tension between landowners and members of the public who are trying to enjoy the great outdoors is nothing new, but the situation intensified in 2022 when anglers started noticing no trespassing signs popping up along the Flint River, which is home to shoal bass. A landowner's success in clinching a settlement with the state last spring set off alarm bells and sent lawmakers scrambling for a solution. Because we are a strong private property rights state, and we also recognize the importance of our fishermen and hunting folks, we want to balance these interests. Now this is a delicate balance, Burchett says. We want to allow folks to fish, hunt, and pass down our navigable waters, while at the same time maintain people's personal property rights. The bill now goes to the Rules Committee, which decides which bills move onto the House floor for a vote by full chamber. Crossover day. I didn't realize there was a crossover day when a bill must clear at least one chamber to have a clear path to becoming law, February 29th.
Leap year.
February 30th. So my question is, if they say, like they pass this, is this going to be a precedent for other states to copy? Because if next door state says, "Oh, well, they did it over here in Georgia,"
let's start.
I don't want people passing by my cottage or my house or whatever.
I like
through my
view without a
field.
I like my view without people in it.
Yeah.
So that just it's opened up so many cans of worms, right? Like I really appreciate it when Scotland has Free to Roam Act and Ireland has a free.
No, there's a bunch of countries over that do, yeah.
And so it's frustrating because it's
if people are just passing through,
what's the issue?
Really, what is the issue? Like they're not setting foot on your land. They're not cutting your fences. They're not stealing your if you're stealing a cow while in a kayak or a canoe, more power to you. You deserve that cow. But they're not doing it. They're just passing through on a trip, having a good time, enjoying nature, which your property apparently is filled with.
Yeah. I think unfortunately where some of the problem comes from is you get typical hooliganism, right? People are doing a drink and float and yada, 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 and disturbing the peace and screaming and yelling. And I'm sure some people get, hey, not on my land, right? So, but then, like, what's the issue? They're going to be there. You'll experience it for like 10 minutes.
If they're just passing through,
let
them pass through. Say hello. Yeah. Be a human being, for crying out loud.
I get not wanting them on your property, building a fire pit and doing whatever.
Oh, 100%.
Digging scat holes and yada, yada, yada. So, I don't know. It's a difficult issue. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. And as you can see, it's already gone through the courts and somebody's won the right to say...
Because that one judge said, you can...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's that one judge. Any other judge, maybe this case that specific case might have gone a totally different way. Yeah,
right. So we'll keep our eye on Georgia some more. See what happens. Yeah. Wow. So that was one thing we talked about before was Georgia, and now we've come back to it. Another thing we talked about was lake bagging.
Okay.
Remember with the stand-up paddleboard, people are climbing and hitting. These alpine lakes and stuff like that.
People typically peak bag. It's like, hey, you do
you guys were doing that.
Yeah, we were. We were doing that in the White Mountains and so on. Yeah, it's Hey, it's fun. Like I've been watching the boys do that all winter, like Grant and Matt and
Pete,
David and Peter. And yeah, they all do this. It's a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we talked about lake bagging with inflatable stand-up paddle boards, pack rafts, going up to these alpine lakes and getting out in the water and stuff like that.
That would be cool. That would be so cool.
Seattle?
But you got to walk up there to do it. That's the problem.
Do you actually have to walk, though? Is that one of the prerequisites?
But wouldn't it kind of spoil it if you kind of get dropped in by a helicopter?
No. What if you parachuted in?
Ooh.
Right? And you got to walk out. So a Seattle-based adventurer and mountaineer, Andrew Hughes, established a new stand-up paddleboard world record, paddling on the highest elevation flat water lake recorded on Tres Cruces Norte in Chile. Also tagged the summit while he was there at 19,780 feet.
Might as well. He was already up there.
Yeah, already almost there. Might as well just go up a little bit farther.
So this is a lake way up there.
Though technically on a desert plateau just west of the Andes Mountains, Tres Cruces Norte has a sizable alpine lake. The pond at Tres Cruces Norte, officially 19,364 feet, is in Nevado Tres Cruces National Park, located inside a volcanic crater.
Very cool.
Easily one of the highest bodies of water on Earth. So chances are someone's going to be a little while till they beat that record.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to alpine lakes, not rivers, or tried and true whitewater destinations, or even large flatwater basins, the amount of potential really skyrockets. You can paddle just about anywhere on a stand-up paddleboard. With paddleboards on the market nowadays weighing as little as 18 to 20 pounds, not being more packable, and being more packable than ever, most bodies of water are fair game, as long as it's accessible by foot and trail to get you and your stand-up paddleboard there. At 19,780 feet above sea level, Tres Cruces Norte sits higher up than Mount Whitney, all of Colorado's 14ers, Mount Fuji, which is the tallest mountain in Japan, Mount Logan, the tallest mountain in Canada, and second tallest in all of North America, and Mount Kenya. So that just shows you how high up he went.
Yeah.
And you can paddle on it.
To say how long it took him to hike up there?
He did not say that whatsoever. Hughes has summited all 7 summits, the 7 volcanic summits, holds a Guinness World Record on Mount Everest, has climbed countless other notable peaks, including Denali, Mount Rainier, Kilimanjaro, and many more. About 4 or 5 years ago, a couple of friends got Hughes into paddleboarding. I realized it was just another way to experience what's around me, not just mountains, says Hughes. Having summited dozens of peaks abroad, Andrew Hughes is no stranger to complicated trip planning and high alpine logistics. Still, before a few years ago, he had never set foot on a stand-up paddleboard, so chasing this record also meant learning the ropes when it came to stand-up paddleboard specific gear. He decided to go with the aisle switch, and we've talked about that before. That board before.
Did we? Oh, yeah.
Board weighs roughly 19 pounds. Comes with 3-piece paddle, lots of tie downs, a carry pack, manual pump, and a whole lot of modular accessories. Most of which Hughes would ditch for the attempt. In addition to the board itself, he used the aisle switch pump, paddle, and pack, a minimalist Mustang Survival PFD belt, some neoprene boots, and O'Neill neoprene gloves. Everything in the gear realm was about weight, he says, and then with all the traditional gear I had to take to summit, that was crucial, my sleeping bag, layers, just standard climbing gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go all the way to the summit, and on the way down, I think I'll just hit up this little lakey lake to go for a little paddle.
And for those ultra-like hikers, he added a stand-up paddleboard, a paddle, and a pump.
Yeah, so like another 20 to 25 pounds, right? Yeah. He visited the exact same region in Chile while on a climbing trip in 2017. The lake is just this gorgeous body of water in the middle of the desert, he says. I remember sitting there at the lake wanting to come back. But he didn't look into details until 2020 when he applied for the record and was informed which bodies of water officially qualified.
Oh.
So he looked into it first. I wanted to stand up paddleboard at this lake, he recounted. When I applied, there were certain bodies of water that were internationally recognized for high altitude water records and some that weren't. Most of them are in Tibet or the Andes. So why carry a stand-up paddleboard on your back up a massive mountain? Well, for one, it's easier nowadays than a decade ago. Could you imagine hiking up there with a stand-up paddleboard? And if you pass anybody,
what are you doing?
I don't know what lake you're going to, but you missed it.
Well, that was you at New Year's where you had a canoe on the
top of my truck.
What is that man doing?
I don't know what season you're looking for, but it ain't winter. Boards are slimmer and lighter. Recent innovations in stand-up paddleboards have just made it possible. Hughes explains, this was almost a proof of concept for me. You can integrate paddleboarding with high-altitude mountaineering. I wanted to figure out how to integrate it into my trips. I had never done stand-up paddleboard trips before. My question was, can this really work? Other people in the region were wondering why I wasn't trying to run up every peak and chase summits, but I really wanted to experience the mountains in a new way, and these places are changing drastically. So thinking about global warming, how can we keep exploring? When Hughes got to the Salt Lake Laguna Verde, his base camp in Atacama, literally the driest desert in the world, it was extremely windy. As far as the Andes go, it was still fairly accessible, but the conditions were not prime for paddleboarding. Official world record starts from the entry point on the water. Then once there, it has to be 10 minutes of continuous paddling on the body of water. So you can't go into like a 10-foot puddle. Paddle the other side. Hughes spent a little over 14 minutes on the lake, according to his Garmin. That's it?
Yeah, I know. Like, you'd think it's like, hey, I'm here.
You think you'd take a day.
It's more than just the record. I want to enjoy this paddle.
Enjoy it, yeah. That record doesn't begin to reflect the amount of time Hughes put into the attempt. I did tons of prep, did like 7,000 miles of travel to get down here. Then the airline lost my bag, so I didn't even have some of my gear.
Wow. I
spent a week doing acclimation hikes on lower peaks. Then I did some recon on what road I'd thought I'd need to take to get to the Norte. We climbed and set up base camp around 4,800 meters, or 15,748 feet. Started our ascent, climbed, camped at the outcropping, then left the next morning for the summit and the lake. His record at the lake took maybe 45 minutes from start to finish, with the ascent and descent maybe 36 hours total on the peak. So I guess he couldn't set up camp that high up, I guess.
Well, I don't know if there's a flat enough spot to do so. But people would normally just do the peak and then come back down to a lower elevation to camp, right?
Yeah. The summit was beautiful, but the ascent with dust and dirt, it was scree-filled and awful. With the pack, the board, and all my gear in my pack, I was like a turtle going up that climb. Best part was being on the water. So that's pretty neat.
Well, if the best part's being on the water, though, why only 14 minutes?
Right? I guess because he was running out of time. I mean, you got to think, the whole trip took 36 hours. You know, if you want to spend a couple hours there, all of a sudden you're into the 40-hour range. Mm-hmm. You know, by the time because he has to unpack, inflate, do the thingy, deflate, repack.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a lot of work.
So you're 45 minutes just to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so
daylight's
I'm
burning.
sure he would have preferred to stay longer, but.
Did you look up this lake on Google Maps?
I saw parts of it. It's a beautiful place.
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. We talked about Mount Everest.
Yes.
Because he'd climbed Mount Everest. And you sent me this one because you wish you bought stock in Wagbag.
Yes,
and that's not the first time you've said that to me.
Well, this thing is becoming like an industry standard.
Yeah.
And so if anybody recalls us discussing this, the wag bag, it's like a you know those cooling bags where you've got the chemical on one side and the gel on another. You pop it, they mix together, and it turns into an ice pack. Well, this here is a two-parter where you can mix, well,
Poop.
so you poop in the bag, seal it, and then you pop the other portion with the chemicals in it, you mix them together, and it solidifies the poop. So it's no longer
It's not a squishy.
It's not a squishy. It's not a toxic hazard anymore. It's not going to burst in your pack, and so on, right? So it's great for leave no trace, or for locations where they don't want you pooping in the mountains anymore, or
Right.
if you really don't want to, even if you are allowed to poop, you don't want to. You're more of a leave no trace type person, right? And so I know there's a what is it, Whitney or no anyways. Denali, I think it's Denali.
Yeah.
Where they discussed the melting of the poop pack up
Yes.
there in the mountains is going to.
It's all infecting the water supplies.
The water supplies. So they're saying you're no longer allowed to go up there and poop in the mountain. You got to bring it back. So these wag bags can come in handy. And so I came across a story where they
Mount Everest.
are enacting as of January 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So as of January 30th, they're saying that you can no longer poop on Everest.
Poop it out, pack it down.
You can, if you're above base camp, you must. And what they're actually recommending the wag bag. Mm-hmm. They're saying this is the product that we're going to supply. You're going to buy it, and you're no longer allowed to poop on the mountain. And it's a toxic waste. It's a toxic hazard, and people aren't really apparently that careful about where they go. So.
Yeah, it's not only that, but he just this one chairman of this place. Our mountains have begun to stink. We are getting complaints that human stools are visible on rocks. Some climbers are falling sick. This is not acceptable and erodes our image.
Yeah, exactly.
Austrian guide Lucas Furtenbach says it's definitely positive and a long overdue step. This new directive that climbers on Mount Everest have to pack out.
Exactly.
Their feces from down to base camp.
And so it does make sense. I can see why this is an issue and why they want to make the change.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people saying like this shouldn't be a problem.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't be. It's commonplace, they say, just to leave it up there. But one of the things is, like they say, the new rule on Everest overrides the decades-old practice of leaving poop on the mountain, either buried in the ice and rock or on exposed ground. Real problem is higher at Camp 4, 26,000 feet above the South Col. The shelf is frozen solid, so you can't dig the ground. Hurricane-force winds blow away whatever snow might cover up. And climbers don't want to walk far from the camps in the thin air and violent gusts. Most folks just walk as far as needed until they feel comfortable and go to the bathroom. Nepali group called the Sagarmatha Pollution Control Committee, which monitors environmental health on the mountains, estimates there are around 3 metric tons of human feces between Camp 1 and 4.
That's a lot.
So what they're saying is you can leave the dead bodies and all the gear, but bring your poop down.
Exactly. Start small.
Start small. So, because they closed the mount, I can't remember what year it was, but they actually closed the climbing season so that they could do a mountain cleanup. And they brought down
that.
They were talking about
oxygen tanks
doing
and
that last year or this year, though, again. Because it's definitely needed.
They're trying to do. I think they're trying to do it every year now. It's because it's become a problem. It's such a popular thing. Mm-hmm. Like what is it? 1947 is the first time it was climbed, and since then, like now it's like a highway.
Yeah.
So you're queuing up in a line like you're going into the ROM, and it's like it's
you get a couple of minutes on the top, take your pictures, and next. It's like
going.
They should be taking tickets at the top.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
ridiculous seeing the pictures. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Take a ticket.
But,
Now serving
so-
number 137.
The Grand Canyon rafting trips require all solid waste to be brought out.
Yes.
There comes a point where, you have to say enough is enough if the environment is that important.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Either the environment's important or those tourist tax dollars are important.
But it's also
Right?
unhealthy, right?
It is. But they have a thing with they call it the groover. It's basically a portable toilet they set up at camp on these rafting trips. But during the day, if you need to go, they have the bags where, they'll make a pit stop and, okay, go over there, take one of these bags and do your business sort of thing. But yeah, you have to bring it out. So either stop, drop, and then, drop the numbers of people that are allowing to go up the mountain. So what's more important, tourist dollars or environment?
Exactly.
Is this something that should be started with more outdoor oriented tripping? So like a week-long canoe trip means you have to carry a week's worth of waste.
It's
Right?
depending on where you are and how sensitive the area is.
So like when we go to Algonquin Park, we can go in there for a month and stop. Every site has a thunderbox.
Yes.
What if they got rid of all the thunderboxes?
Oh, yeah, that'd be a problem.
You know what I'm saying? Because, not all places. we go through Temagami and not every campsite has a thunderbox.
No, exactly, right?
So do you carry wag bags?
I think you should.
Should they start making that? If you're going through this area, there's no thunderboxes. Show me your supply of wag bags.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot get your permit until we see how you're planning to deal with your waste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I think it's something that I think we're going to see debated more and more often as we go forward. There's enough people going into the backcountry areas that it's just the impact. The environment can't take that impact. If you got some random guy going into some random lake in the middle of nowhere, it's like, well, there's one guy. But if you have a flotilla of people heading to some of these locations, like
if there's 7 sites on a popular lake, and those sites are filled every week in the summer,
that's
a lot of poopy.
Yeah. And it's not uncommon. Like I've seen it a lot in, like, for example, a backcountry Algonquin where you come across a site where somebody's freshly dug a new thunderbox. They've had to move it. It was full. And I've reported back to when I've exited saying, this campsite on this lake, on this location is like full. Somebody needs to go dig a new thunderbox.
Or people that don't know about thunderboxes and there's little toilet paper towel.
So that's another
flowers everywhere.
That's another issue that I don't know. When you have a thunderbox, if you're willing to go backcountry camping and if somebody provides you with a thunderbox, why are you pooping in the bushes next to the thunderbox?
Because not everybody realizes there's a thunderbox.
When they go right next to it? I think
I've never actually seen it right next to
I
it.
have.
You?
And I think what it is people find it gross. It's like, there's a smell coming out of there. Well, yeah.
It's a toilet.
That's because it's a toilet. Right? It just baffles me. And I think there's enough people using the backcountry now. It's become more and more popular as the years go along. And I think there's a time to educate the public more when it comes to protecting backcountry areas.
And and like I say, what's more important, the environment or the tourist dollars?
Yeah, well, it depends on who you talk to, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's an argument that'll be there forever.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, if you, I don't know. Yeah, I would prefer just to use a thunderbox.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And not carry around a bag of waste for a week.
Yeah.
But if it was mandated, then so be it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the rules. The rules are the rules.
And then, of course, if that's mandated, well, are you going to supply me the wag bags? Like the amount of arguments that are going to come out of something like that.
It's tough.
I say that we start this trend and make it law. You have to use wag bags just to listen to the people complain. Just start the fire and let it go.
Before we make these determinations, let me know so I can buy some stock in the company.
Right? Hey, Wagbag stock went up this week. Derek retired.
Well, what's interesting, though, is everybody's chasing the dollar, right?
Yep.
And when it comes to, like, the Wagbag has been talked about at length now on server, like, especially like Everest. This is a very high profile way. It's free advertising. And so what we're going to see now is like the Wagbag is there, but now you're going to see some different off brands and other people are going to go, hey, we want in on this deal now. Like, it shouldn't be just Wagbag that sells their
monopoly,
their poop bags. I want to sell the poop bags too.
Well, what one of the Sherpas is saying is, so instead of having to carry it out, then maybe we just make a barrel and you put your Wagbags in there.
Okay.
And then every so often, like once a week or whatever, a helicopter comes in and changes barrels.
Helicopters can reach base camp, so that would work.
Yeah. So,
but that's not something that you can do in the Algonquin backcountry. If you and you go to any hiking trail and it's like, well, that was nice of that human to bag up their dog's poop, but why did they leave the bagged poop on the edge of the trail?
Right.
Right, so are we going to start seeing Wagbags thrown on the edge of...
or just dumped in the lake.
On the edge of portages or dumped in the lake or whatever. It's like, I'm not carrying this. It's like, it might become worse before it gets better.
Or when people are paddling by with their music blaring and all of a sudden get beamed by a Wagbag.
There you go, practical use.
If your music is playing loud as you're passing my campsite, yeah. Bonk.
Trebuchets full of Wagbags.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, eh?
Launch!
Death by poo bag. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with that there.
Yeah.
Here's something brand spanking new. Because of excessive rainfall in California, a temporary lake is giving folks a rare chance to do some actual kayaking.
This is fascinating.
Of all things, in the driest place in the United States. The U.S. National Park Service says the aquatic adventure is taking place at Badwater Basin, which lies at the bottom of Death Valley. Lowest elevation in North America at 282 feet or 86 meters below sea level. Badwater Basin is normally a dry salt flat. You might think with no drain to the sea that Death Valley would always have a lake, says Park Ranger Abby Wines. But this is an extremely rare event. Normally, the amount of water flowing in is much less than the evaporation rate. Death Valley National Park averages 2 inches of rain per year.
That's not a lot.
But the valley floor has gotten 4 to 9 inches in the past 6 months. Surrounding mountains have seen even more rain. Most of the rain came just in 2 events, 2.2 inches during the remnants of Hurricane Hilary in August, and 1.5 inches during an atmospheric river in February 4th to 7th. Lake was deep enough to kayak for a few weeks after Hurricane Hilary, but unfortunately people couldn't come enjoy it then because every road in the park was damaged by flash floods, and it took 2 months to open the first road into the park. Now most of the main roads are open, so it's time to come visit. Some secondary and backcountry roads are closed, so be sure to check with latest weather information before setting out. But adventurers can currently reach Badwater Basin via a paved road. Informally known as Lake Manly, the fleeting pool is about 6 miles long, 3 miles wide, and just 1 foot deep. Can you actually kayak in 1 foot of water?
You could, yeah.
My fat ass, I'd be dragging the bottom of my canoe along the bottom of that lake.
It'd be hard to paddle because your paddles would be hitting the bottom constantly.
Right? You're going to be lily dipping the entire way.
Yeah.
It might be deep enough to kayak only for a couple of weeks, said National Park Service. However, park rangers believe the shallow lake will still create beautiful reflections through April. Yeah,
photography is going to be amazing.
Right? Park rangers ask that would-be visitors follow park rules, minimize their impact on the fragile desert environment. Parking lots may be full. If parking on the road shoulder, drivers should be cautious of soft shoulders and ensure they are fully out of the driving lane. Footprints in the lakeshore can last for years. people should walk on established pathways. If the wonders of the earth aren't enough to lure you there, the park plans to hold its annual Death Valley Dark Sky Festival March 1st to 3rd for some epic stargazing.
That'd be fascinating.
But could you imagine? Yeah, I remember in 2024, last year we went out and we paddled Death Valley. Yeah. Never
That's amazing.
seen, never done again.
That'd be so cool, eh?
Yeah. Even still, like, even if it was only a foot of water, if I had the chance to do it and I was there, it'd be a hassle, but I'd still do it. What'd you do this summer? I paddled Death Valley. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Last thing I got here. Just something I came across. The Bow Wow Bow Pulpit. See that 10 times real fast.
Bow Wow Bow Pulpit.
It came. I can't find any photos of this or anything.
Yeah, we need a photo. I'm not getting this. I'm not sure understanding what.
So a bow pulpit. Basically, when you see a boat and somebody's, that pointy piece that sticks out
like
from
a
the front of the
sailboat.
boat, and they're sitting on that sort of thing. That's it. This guy says, I wanted to create a safe way for a pet dog to safely stand and ride along the on a kayak or stand-up paddleboard, says the inventor from Newport Beach, California. So I invented the Bow Wow Bow Pulpit. My design helps alleviate the fear of a pet falling overboard, and it could also be used to store other products, such as a backpack or a cooler.
You put a sheet of plywood on the bow of a kayak.
I gotta think it's because my thing is, I mean, I've got a couple issues with this. Until I see a picture, I've got issues with this.
I know
if you're putting a whole bunch of stuff or the weight of a dog that's not like 2 pounds on the front of your kayak, sticking, because bow pulpits stick out.
Yeah.
But I got to think he's not having it stick way out in front of your boat. It's going to, maybe just, like you say, a small piece of wood along the front. Still, if a dog's on there, it's going to ruin your stability somehow.
Yeah, and you're going to have to do some ballasting so the nose isn't too deep in the water. It's going to be harder to navigate and steer because of the front-loaded weight. You'd have to, put some ballast in the back to offset the weight of the dog.
That's where your other dog goes.
Yes.
So the next thing is what had me really, I want to see a picture on how this works. The invention provides an effective way to secure a dog to the bow of any kayak or stand-up paddleboard.
Define secure.
To secure your dog. Are you tying your dog there? Because if you capsize, you can swim, but you've just
tied your dog
to this potentially sinking boat.
Yeah.
Depending, if you blow a hole in the bottom of it, that's why you capsized. In doing so, it allows for convenient and secure travel on the floating vessel with the pet owner. As a result, it enhances safety and it helps prevent the pet from falling overboard. So that's why I'm thinking he's got to be secured in there. Like, they're not going to fall overboard. Does that include not going to jump, which means they're tied to it somehow?
Yeah.
The invention features a durable design that's easy to attach, so it's ideal for kayaking and stand-up paddleboard enthusiasts with pet dogs. All right, finally, I can take my Great Dane paddleboarding.
I don't think you're doing that.
Additionally, it is producible in design variations. Original design was submitted to the Orange County Sales Office of Invent Help. It is currently available for licensing or sales to manufacturers or marketers. And I think that's why we're not seeing photos yet.
Yeah,
until somebody
he's protecting the design.
Yeah. Like I say, I want to see a photo of this. I want to know what he means by securing the dog. And prove that it's not going to cause stability issues.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So anyway, I just happened to see this while I was going, and it just raised way too many questions that now I'm curious. I want to know. I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
So, and that is all I have got this week.
Oh.
You got anything else?
I do not. It's a long show,
isn't it? No, it's pretty par for the course anymore.
Hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, we're anywhere between an hour and 20 anymore. We just like to yabber about stuff now. This coming weekend's Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show. I am speaking on Sunday.
At 1?
At noon.
At noon.
Bring your lunch, sit down and listen to me yabber.
Yep.
Talking about the canoe route we did this past summer, following the Incomplete Anglers canoe route.
Yep.
So I'm going to be chatting about that.
It was a good trip.
It was. And I will be wandering around on Saturday. You still don't know if you're coming down Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I haven't decided which day. If I'm going to have to come Sunday to see this. I'd like to learn about the trip that you went on.
Yeah, it was great. The guy I went with was a total nerd.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go down both days. You're probably going down both days, are you?
Yeah, I'll go down all Saturday and do all my speaky stuff. But if you do see me, ask me for a sticker, because I will have stickers with me. So, except you're not getting any.
I'm not asking for a sticker.
Don't ask me for a sticker. I won't give you one. Slap it right on your forehead. And then, so this weekend is the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show.
Yep.
Next weekend is Quiet Adventure Symposium.
March.
Yeah, March
is already here.
Wow. And somewhere between this week and next week, I've got to get out on the water.
You've got to get out and paddle, yeah.
Got to get out on the water. Yeah, that back just killed my February.
Yeah.
But
you got to try and get out. Cover all your months.
I think I don't know that I'm going to be able to get in and out of a kayak.
Oh, yeah?
But so I think I might have to do it in a canoe.
Oh, yeah. So do a canoe.
Well, John was asking me to go, and I'm just like, John Brower says, yeah, let's go out in the kayak. Let's go. Because he's more of a kayaker than a canoeist, right? But, I don't think I'll be able to get... Unless he's going to pick me up and put me in there.
Yeah.
And considering I'm a lot
your
taller
back's
than he is.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. It's brutal.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll get over it. As long as peachy keen in time for full paddling season, then I'm good. So, come and see us at the Toronto Adventure Show this weekend. Saturday and Sunday I'll be there. Yep. And the Quiet Adventure Symposium in East Lansing, Michigan. We'll have our booth set up. And on the floor behind you is the new tent thingy.
New top.
We got a new tent thingy.
High top tent.
Yeah, whatever those things are called. The canopy tent things for our booth.
You see people at soccer games sheltering under them.
Yeah, we're going to be out there playing soccer. Anyway, that's all I got this week.
That's all I have.
Alrighty. Well, if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at paddlingadventuresradio.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can download or stream all our episodes at iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Player FM, and all your favorite podcast downloading sites. Or you can just go to the episode page at paddlingadventuresradio.com and you can stream or download all our episodes there. 418 of them now. Woo! If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with friends, family, and fellow paddlers. I want to thank everybody for listening this week. I'm Sean Rowley.
And I'm Derek Specht. We'll see you next time.